Many thanks for staying with us. It's double jeopardy for a community in Oka North local government area of Anambra State as jungle justice is meted out on one of its own. Mr. Orakulu had in the early hours of today attacked and killed a woman. According to the police, the suspect had already been set ablaze by an angry mob before their arrival, but had deposited the woman's remains in the mortuary.
Mbaku, one of the communities in the capital of Anambra State, Oka, is still in shock over the violent attack on a member of the community, Maduweze Orakulu. Mr. Orakulu, who was mobbed to death, was alleged to have used machete to hack Mrs. Teresa Obalum to death on her way to her usual early morning routine of distributing pap to customers. Angry villagers mobbed the suspect and his house ablaze. In spite of this, relatives of Mrs. Obalum are crying for justice.
Now this woman, they feed all of us. It's about to kill him this morning, destroy my family. What can I do? I don't know whether to drink poison and die. How can I do this to all these small children? We're there for primary school. Three of them there for primary school. 2 of them there for secondary.
Mrs. Obalum, about 40 years of age, has been in the business for years. And according to the youth leader of the community, the mental health of the suspect cannot be ascertained.
It's high time we sit down and, enlist those so-called mental persons and hand them over to the appropriate authority where they will be taken care of.
The police public relations officer, Anambra Command, confirms the incident and condemns the killing of Mrs. Teresa Obalum while cautioning the youth over taking laws into their hands.
We deployed our men quickly to the place, and when they got to the place, the angry mob already set the suspect ablaze, and we recovered the corpse of the deceased woman and we have evacuated the body to Isuanocha Hospital. So I think what has happened there is quite unfortunate, but we have deposited the corpse for autopsy, and at the same time we'll go into a discreet investigation and we'll charge anyone found liable to such acts to court to face its cause.
Calm has returned to the community as police has launched an investigation into the incident. But until then, the agony of the victims lingers as they await justice.
Still in Anambra State, where the communal crisis has given rise to a standing committee inaugurated by Governor Willie Obiano to tackle these conflicts. Governor Obiano says the 14-member committee will have more members so it can realize its objectives.
Last year, several communities in Anambra State were embroiled in communal crisis. An administrative panel of inquiry was set up. But by the time the panel began work, violence, wanton destruction of property, and death had occurred. This prompted the Anambra State Governor, Mr. Willie Obiano, to inaugurate a 14-man standing committee with the terms of reference to include to determine the immediate and remote causes of dispute and disturbance within communities, identification of their major parties and their respective roles in the disputes, make recommendations to the state government on remedial measures to reconcile parties involved in the issues.
Some of these clashes sometimes have led to setting up of administrative panels of inquiries, which in a sense begin to pick up the pieces after the conflict has led to major conflicts.
Inaugurating them, the governor tasked the standing committee to ensure that lasting peace is enthroned in the state.
What we're trying to do is to nip in the bud intra and inter-community conflicts. That means between towns or between villages in the same town, or, as the case may be, or the tussle between the Royal Highness and the PGs and all. These are things that can lead to threat of peace in the area.
Members are drawn from various fields of endeavor, including the service commanders and traditional rulers. Expressing joy at the governor's decision to ensure peace in the land, The Commissioner of Police and chairman of the committee says they'll deliver on the responsibility assigned to them.
Show you that we are going to hit the ground running, and we will ensure that we engage all conflict parties with robust discussion, so that we will not only live on the board potential problems, but we're able to solve the existing one.
The move by the state government to establish the Standing Committee on Communal Conflict Resolution can be expected to contribute to keeping the peace in Anambra State.
Now let's find out what's happening in the world of business. Here's Emana Amawe.
You first. First Bank.
Hello and welcome to Business News. The Minister of Budget and National Planning, Senator Udo Udoma, has been speaking on the recently launched Economic Recovery Development Plan. Senator Udoma was speaking on our program Business Morning earlier today. He says the plan is geared towards achieving economic stability.
The ERGP is a document that it is the government position. So it's also the position of the central bank. So it is the government position. So anything you see in that document represents the position of the central bank as well. Because we work closely in producing the document with the Ministry of Finance and the central bank. So I just want to assure you on that. In terms of timing, the central bank indicates that naturally they have to be given some flexibility in terms of how to arrive at the end product. And the end product is to have a market responsive exchange rate regime. And they just want some time to be able to arrive at that.
Minister of Budget and National Planning, Senator Udo Udoma. Now, mid-cap agro-allied company Okomu Oil today reports a 47.5% increase in its revenue for 2016 to 14.3 billion naira, compared with 9.7 billion reported in 2015. According to the company's audited report, profits before tax rose to 5.90 billion naira from 2.8 billion naira, while after-tax profit rose to 4.9 billion naira within the same period. The company says its operating profits increased by 112.1% to 6.9 billion naira, while earnings per share surged to 5 naira 15 kobo from 2 naira 39 kobo 1 year ago. And profit-taking by investors took the shine off the local stock market at the close of today's session after Thursday's major rally. BC Adebayo has more.
After the two consecutive rallies, a sell-off from some of the major bellwether equities pulled the all-share index down slightly by 0.03% and market value by 1 billion naira. Investors took advantage of the market's significant gain of 1.11% on Thursday to book profit of 14 stocks. As a result, Lafarge Africa, Owando and Mayer ended as the three major decliners, while Dangote Flour was the biggest gainer among 16 gainers, up by 9.62% in price value. Investors' appetite for stocks weakened on the activity chart as 107.93 million shares worth over 907.72 billion naira were traded in 2,405 deals. Fidelity Bank emerged as the actively traded equity for the day. And that's it on the stock market reports. I am BC Adebayo.
Thank you, BC. Wall Street opened slightly lower earlier today following U.S. military missile strikes against Syria and a slightly disappointing March jobs data. With more details on the market is VOA Channels TV business correspondent Jill Malandrino.
Open slightly higher, although we're just about in the red right now at 10 a.m. Eastern. But this erased overnight declines following U.S. military-launched cruise missile strikes ordered by President Donald Trump against a Syrian airbase controlled by President al-Assad's forces in response to a deadly chemical attack in rebel-held area. Now, recall last night at just about 9 p.m. Eastern on Thursday, the S&P 500 was down about 20 to 22 handles. So the recovery that we've seen to actually open up positive was quite impressive. Note that just around 9 a.m. Eastern on Friday morning, Reuters reported that a truck drove through crowds, injuring people on a main shopping street in central Stockholm. Police are reportedly treating it as a terrorist attack as new details emerge. Turning to the trading week ahead, earnings season officially kicks off on Thursday, April 13th, with the major financials reporting, including Citigroup, JP Morgan, PNC, and Wells Fargo. While earnings season is a busy time for analysts and traders, it will be a welcome distraction from the information vacuum that we're now in. Moves tend to be exaggerated on very light volume when macro events and policy are the only market forces to contend with. I want to remind everyone that U.S. markets will be closed on Friday, April 14th, in observance of Good Friday. That said, economic data will be released that day, including the Consumer Price Index and retail sales for March, two key reports. From the NASDAQ market site in New York, I'm Jill Malandrino, and this is VOA Channel's Business News.
In the meantime, global stock markets once again closed mixed today after the U.S. fired cruise missiles against an airbase in Syria, raising concerns over escalating conflicts in the region. Let's see how the numbers fared. And that's it on Business News Tonight. I'm Imana Amawe. It's back to Melinda.
You first. First Bank.
Many thanks, Imana. Fourth Core Technology Solution has signed a memorandum of understanding with the Nasarawa state government to ensure prompt collection of taxes. Signing the agreement in Lafia, the managing director of the company, Mohammed Chiroma, said the organization will ensure all taxes due to the state are collected.
Four Core Technology Solutions at the conference hall of the Deputy Governor's Office to sign a memorandum of understanding with the state government to enable it improve its revenue profile. The leader of the delegation assures the government that they will work tirelessly to ensure that workers of the FCT resident in Nasarawa do not breach the border tax rule.
The fact that people live in one place and work in the other does not mean that the border tax rule should be breached, but that has been actively breached for many years. So the sort of partnership we're doing with Nasarawa is to ensure we reverse this, make a lot of recoveries, and going forward ensure all taxes due to Nasarawa come to Nasarawa.
The executive director of the group says their intention is to bring back the value of taxation to residents and the government.
Nasarawa State is particularly of prime importance to everybody in the sense that Nasarawa State has, as shown by the governor's antecedents, is willing to drive a state to the next level. Look at the investment he's made. So the willingness of taxpayers to be involved in the process is much higher than in other states. So we intend to leverage on that to bring the value of taxation to government and to the people in turn.
They say they are also working to ensure that the state government controls a component of its tax policies.
This forms a critical component because tax is usually an exponential collection where you actually start from the primary component, which is payee, and exponentially grow it to CIT and the other components. We want the government to harness the best components of its taxation policies. That's why we come into play.
For the state government, it is a welcome development with high expectations, which will improve the revenue base of the state.
In our quest to turn around the fortunes of Nasarawa State, His Excellency Umaru Tanko Almakura have been looking around, and from your submission, it shows that we are in the right place. You have come to Nasarawa State with a lot of giving us a lot of hopes and solutions that will turn around the fortunes of the state positively.
Forecore Technology Solution is a consulting firm specialized in the collection of taxes from border community areas.
Residents of a community in the Bejuleki area of Lagos are not happy with the spate of insecurity in their area. They condemn the recent kidnap of a youth and the demand for 100 million naira ransom by the abductors.
Residents of Ishe community in the Bejuleki area, a suburb of Lagos, expressing strong emotions over the kidnap of one of their own, Ademola Salami, alleged to have been abducted by 7 armed men and whisked across the river. The 42-year-old victim, known to be a dealer in plank sourced from Delta, was alleged to have received a call asking him to take delivery of products at the jetty before his abduction.
They came around 7:30, 8 o'clock in the evening. So they came by water because the brother we are talking about is a trader. He is buying timber land. So when the people came, they called him that they wanted to sell timber to him. But eventually, when he was coming from his house, then later on they kidnapped our brother. So we have been looking for him now. There's no way out.
Owing to this spate of insecurity in the town, the traditional ruler, Ganiu Adebowale Adegbeson, and some members of his cabinet are said to have relocated to Lagos main town. One of the chiefs, Hali Ruchamiyu, added that 100 million naira had been demanded, but appealed to government to come to the aid of their community.
They want to buy 100 million, so since then, then Obawate try to repay gbogbo ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ rí sí bàbá yẹn ń sọ̀rọ̀ ń lọ ń bọ̀ lórí ẹ̀ tó fi jẹ́ pé wọ́n kó àwọn ọlọ́pàá kan wá but wọ́n kó àwọn ọlọ́pàá yẹn kọ́ ìwà ń bẹ̀ kì í ṣe àmọ́.
For the past 7 years, this divisional police station, commissioned in Ishe, has been a ghost of itself. Through the recent attack, these combined team of officers, drawn from the State Criminal Investigation Department, Banti, are present to douse the tension. For now, the Ishe men...
Still ahead on the news at 10, Liverpool forward Sadio Mane has been ruled out for the rest of the season due to a knee injury. That's the sports news. Stay with us.